Hi folks, I want to fill you in on how the ride went, but first, thanks for supporting our fundraising. As you saw in Mary Sue's video, there's a lot of research to be done to fully understand all the aspects of MS, to hopefully stop its progression and find a therapy that reverses the effects of the disease. Your donations take us a lot closer to those results. So thanks for your continued support. Now, about the ride. As the date approached, I was concerned about being able to ride the entire 154 miles in the 2 days. In recent months, my ability to ride the usual distance and speed on shorter weekly club rides that I've been doing for years suddenly seemed diminished, and I really didn't understand why. So after several weeks of this situation not improving, I talked to my doctor, which resulted in a test of my pulmonary function, which showed that my breathing was pretty normal, so that wasn't the issue. So then, for some assurance that I wasn't going to have a heart attack during the MS ride, I was sent for a CTA scan, which looks at the arteries and the heart condition generally. And it showed some issues, but nothing really significant that would explain the fatigue. But several months ago, my family doctor noticed that I had a heart murmur and sent me for an echocardiogram. The result of that is that it said I had moderate aortic stenosis, which means that my aortic heart valve was stiffening with age and not opening as widely as it should, and of course that's restricting the blood flow. Cardiologist didn't seem too concerned because it was moderate, and that didn't seem concerned about anything else that he saw in the CT scan, and that it did not require any immediate action. He also didn't think it was necessarily responsible for the fatigue I was feeling. So he said it was okay to go ahead and do the ride. So, armed with that good news in hand, I went to Ponte Vedra in Florida with a couple of cycling buddies from Charleston and a plan to meet one more friend from Florida for the ride. We looked at the weather report for Saturday, and it showed 15 to 20 mile per hour east winds with gusting. The entire ride on Saturday is from north to south, close to the ocean. So we knew that the east winds blowing from our side at 15 to 20 would definitely slow us down and push us around on the road, and of course that's exactly what it did. Concerned that my fatigue situation might result in me not finishing the ride on Saturday, my riding buddies, Rick Jess, Mark LaBelle, and Jeff Zach, agreed to do their best to protect me from the wind the entire way down, and they did. And to make it just a little bit more challenging, it rained several times on the way. Along the way, one of the roads on the route was actually flooded due to very high tides on that day. So at one point they put us all on a bus to drive an alternate route around the flooding. That made the cycling route about 7 miles shorter, and it was fairly late in the day on Saturday, so I have to say I really didn't mind sitting on the bus for that short break. It was a nice change. The Saturday ride was one of the most difficult I've ever done in my life, and I was extremely happy to get to the end having actually completed it. But it was only possible with the help of my friends who were willing to control the pace to suit me and to try to protect me from the wind. As members of the Mayo Clinic team, which I've been for years, and they joined as well, we enjoyed their tent at the Saturday finish line with great food, beer, and massages. Bacardi was giving out samples, and it wasn't raining anymore, so things were pretty good at the end of the day. Dinner that evening was the usual spaghetti and salad, and in recent years that was held outside, but with the high wind and continued threat of rain, it was moved inside the hotel. So it was nice to be out of the weather for a little bit longer. As difficult as Saturday was, I had pretty well decided that on Sunday, with the same wind predicted on the way home, with the same effect on us, I would cut the ride short and only do the 35-mile option, and then catch a car ride with a friend back to Ponte Vedra. So on Sunday morning, we got up, got out behind the Daytona Beach Hilton on the boardwalk where things get going. It was dry, but still windy, as predicted. So we took off just after dawn, riding north. And as it turned out, the wind direction seemed to have changed just slightly, so that it was behind us just enough to, at most times, not hurt us and even help a bit. We found that we were able to up the pace compared to Saturday, which is not saying a lot. We were pretty slow on Saturday. And when we reached the 35-mile mark at Marineland, where I thought I would quit, it seemed that completing the ride might be possible for me with the help of my friends. So at that point, I made the decision to continue on. It rained really hard once on Sunday, but we were really lucky to be at a rest stop when it started, and we were able to just stand under one of the tents for about 10 minutes until it was over. We did finish the full mileage, and I didn't actually feel as beat on Sunday as I had after Saturday. So after lunch and a beer, we grabbed our suitcases and we headed home. And you can see some photos from the ride using the link that I placed in my email. I missed having my usual Florida cycling buddy, Paul, there, but he was dealing with a medical issue and couldn't ride, so I'm hoping he's back on his bike for next year's ride so we can continue our tradition of doing the event together. A few weeks after the ride, with no improvement in the fatigue problem, another echocardiogram showed that the aortic stenosis had progressed from moderate to severe, and that requires replacing the heart valve. It's a good news, bad news situation. The whole idea of having a heart valve replaced is absolutely frightening to me, but it's encouraging that the process, which they call TAVR, T-A-V-R, is a very reliable and fairly common solution to the problem. So sometime in the next 90 days, I'll be getting a new aortic valve, my 75th birthday present. The doctors have determined that the new valve can be inserted through an artery, and that means I won't need open heart surgery, so that takes a little bit of the anxiety out of it for all of us. And the replacement should make next year's ride a little easier than this year. They say the valve will last for about 10 years. I don't know if it comes with a warranty. I hope so. So that's this year's ride story. But of course, what's most important in all of this is not the ride itself, or me and my health challenges, but the goodwill and generosity of all of you to raise a truly meaningful amount of money to support the National MS Society's mission. As always, I believe that giving something of ours to help those in need, to reduce the suffering, and to find a cure for this horrible disease is what makes us human and brings us closer together. Every year, your generous support reinforces that thought in my mind. So thanks again for continuing to support us. Thanks from Mary Sue and me and everyone with MS. And until next year, stay well.